Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cocktails and Rocktails with me, your most notorious groupie, Alice Rouse, author of We've Got Tonight, The Life and Times You Guys Know, as I always say. And these little books right here, ladies, if you are looking to be a groupie going to meet the band, check them out. They are a lot of fun. Tongue-in-cheek, but very true. And as always, thank you guys so much for all the love, support, everything you guys give me. And I'm so sorry that I suck at answering messages and emails. I am trying to get better on top of it. So don't be angry or feel like I'm ignoring you, because I'm not. I just sometimes really suck at answering emails. I'm better at, voicemails or talking. I'm old school and Gen X. What can I say? But doesn't mean I don't love everybody here, that I'm not grateful and thankful for all the love and support and all the conversations we have and friendships that we're building. So amazing. Thank you guys so much. And as always, today we are going to have a little story out of my Vegas years. Oh, this is fun. And this has nothing to do with rock and roll, but it has to do with touring. Touring as a stripper, as a feature. All right, and for the drink cocktail of the day, guys, we are going to do a little one I did at the very beginning of this venture of this channel, called the Pink Panties. Because some strippers wear pink panties. I was totally nude, so yeah, panties were the first thing to go. I still don't wear them. I don't like them. They're not fun. But all right, everybody, get your panties in a bunch, kick up your feet, and let's have a little cocktails and rocktails. Cheers, big ears. All right, let's see how this is. Okay. All right, yeah, no, it's good. I'm not a big gin fan, but the lemonade and the strawberries, you don't really taste the gin. And I used Boodle's gin, so it's a little bit more mild than your average gin. So, very good. Definitely going to swallow the pink panties long before I swallow the Kipwinger. So, all right, everybody, let's get into it. So, we're going to go to my Vegas years. We're going to be talking about when I had first moved to Vegas. And I had already done feature shows as a stripper, because a lot of people don't realize, and you've seen this throughout my videos, that stripping can be bigger than just wandering around a pole at your local strip club. Well, I was a feature show, which for those of you who have not watched all the episodes and are just joining us, a feature stripper is a stripper who has done at least some men's magazines like Penthouse, Hustler, Weed, Cherry, Jet, Loaded, Perfect 10, Platinum, a lot of these magazines that I was in. So, or porn stars do this as well, but I was never a porn star. Sex was absolutely and only for my personal life. My personal life never went into the strip club, but that's besides the point. So anyway, so I was doing a bunch of features. Then when I moved to Seattle, I kind of stopped for a while because I was kind of doing them on my own. In Salt Lake City, where I'd started dancing, I was doing the Miss World Topless, Entertainer of the Year. So I was doing a lot of photo shoots, getting a lot of attention. I had even done HBO After Dark, where they had followed a few of us around for the Miss World Topless, because we became this big show on the Strip at the Stardust at the time, and we were on pay-per-view, which was the only thing outside of HBO and Cinemax at the time. But anyway, so I had kind of taken a hiatus when I was in Seattle. Now, when I moved down to Vegas and started at Little Darlings, the original Deja Vu club there, Jack Zindel, who was the general manager and probably one of the best managers that any strip club Deja Vu has ever seen. He knew how to pick his women. He knew how to run a club. He knew how to keep a good balance. He knew how to keep it classy and not hookery. So, because a lot of people don't realize, yes, most of strippers are just strippers. We're not anything else. So, but Jack was amazing. And his brother Greg also worked at some clubs. And Jack had actually handpicked me out to be one of the girls at Comdex and CES. These are the biggest conventions of the year in Las Vegas. They're huge. They're all the tech people, and there's an adult side to both of them. And we're talking Vivid, all the biggest magazines. There are camera crews from all over the world, stuff like this. So Jack had picked me out and was like, hey, you need to do this. Let's do some magazine shoots for the Deja Vu magazine. Let's kind of give you something to get back up on the horse again. So I made a lot of contacts, and most of the time when you're a stripper, especially in Vegas, summer is the slowest time. So I would book a lot of my feature shows from pretty much the end of May to the beginning of mid-September probably. But I was kind of wanting to do a lot more features and kind of get back into that side of things, and really had a good opportunity in Vegas. And so I didn't have anything really booked before April. And Jack was like, well, my brother, Greg, he runs a couple strip clubs out in Oklahoma City who's owned by this woman. Think of, if you've ever seen the movie The Craft, Fairuza Balk's mother, that character's mother. That's pretty much the lady who owned both of these strip clubs in Oklahoma. And she was the sweetest lady, but she was kind of a drunk, had her cigarette, her fancy pearls, and, just cruising, having a good time. She was one of the sweetest club owners I've ever met. So Greg is like, yeah, have Sienna come out, because that was my stage name, Sienna Jones. So he said, have Sienna come out, do, 4 or 5 days. I'm like, no, I'll do 3 or 4, because when you're a feature, you work up to certain dollar amounts, you work up to certain days, you work up to certain things. And so I was like, no, if I'm going to Oklahoma, it's going to be 3 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and it's going to be $6,000 a night, because you can charge that in places like Oklahoma and a lot of places. But anyway, so we negotiated. Jack booked the club, booked the tour, and there's a few other girls, because at Little Darlings at the time with Jack at the helm, we had a lot of house features who did magazines, who did traveling, who did the things like the HBO, MTV, VH1, all the things that I had done. So I had asked the girls, I had asked the other girls what it was like in Oklahoma, because every state has different laws. Now, the majority of states have totally nude clubs, no alcohol. Topless clubs, alcohol. Some of them have to have pasties, some of them don't. So Oklahoma City was definitely pasties, and your thong back could not be a tiny G-string. It had to have a certain width around the crotch. And, so the rules were pretty stringent there. Very stringent. So they were like, yeah, the cops are in there all the time. They're in undercover. They're gonna, check you out. We both just barely got out of tickets. Blah, blah, blah. So I was like, okay, this is somewhere I've got to watch out. I've got to be careful. So get on the plane in a February, because like I said, I wanted to book some earlier shows as early as I could and really just get a swing on things. So it was a February, and it was really weird because it was like 80 degrees in Vegas, which normally it's pretty cool. Or no, it was snowing in Vegas, and normally it's a little warmer. You don't see much snow in Vegas. But then when I got off the plane at Oklahoma City, it was like 70 degrees in February. Some weird phenomenon. So I get off, and I have my own valet who has the limo, who is at my beck and call 24 hours a day. If I want to go do something in the day when I'm not working the shows and doing my shows at night, because the way it works, you have 3 nights, 3 shows a night. So I would do like 7, 10, and midnight. So this valet driver, what was his name? I think it was Keith. Really nice guy. But so Keith introduced himself to me, comes and gets me in the limo, drops me off at the hotel, and I get in like the day before, early morning, the day before I start my first feature night. So they're like, yeah, Fancy, and because she owned the Blue Moon Cabaret and Fancy's, and I was dancing at the Blue Moon Cabaret. Both were topless and pasties. Keep that in mind. And my hotel was a little further away than I thought it would be from the club. But this comes into play because where the club was in one county or jurisdiction in Oklahoma City, where my hotel was in another jurisdiction. This will come to play later. Because you guys know me, this is not going to be just some boring pasty and thong back show. Oh no. Oh no, it was not going to be. So I get there, I meet Fancy, I meet my DJ, because we all have our DJs for the week. I meet my, talk to some of the other girls. I have my own private dressing room. And the way the club was set up, when you walk in the club, there's a vestibule. And it has, all the posters of who's coming, has my poster up at the time. And then you go into another little kind of hallway area before you get into the main cabaret. And in this hallway area is a picture of the classic Marilyn Monroe on the red velvet. Topless, you can just see the nippy, right? Nothing else. It's beautiful. This poster hangs all over the world in all kinds of places. We've all seen it. So this place is so conservative that this club got a ticket for not putting a black bar over the tatas and the hoo-haws of Marilyn Monroe. A classic picture that we all know. They're okay with it being everywhere else in the world, but forbid if it's in the strip club because that is showing tatas in that strip club. So that's how conservative this place was. So I meet everybody. I go up to my dressing room, talk to everybody, tell them, give them my music, tell them my props, see what I can do, what I can't do, because I had this. And this place, again, was so conservative. I used to do this set by Jackal, the lumberjack, and she loves my cock. So I had this big blow up, like 3-foot cock that I would play and ride the stage and, put in the other guys' faces, kind of slap him on the head, just be goofy, because it's a giant cock. You've got to be fun with it. And it's so, I had forgot my CD of Jackal. So I went to the local store, to the local mall, to some CD store, and just didn't even think about it. Just grabbed the CD because this is before computers ran the whole strip club. But so pick up the CD, give it to I look at it while I'm trying to give it to the DJ the next night. And guess what? This place was so conservative. She Loves My Cock was not even on the album. So that fucked up that whole set. But he happened to have it at home. So we were able to do the set. So anyway, next night, go back to my hotel, relax, whatever I do before the night. Talk to my friends, call my mom, do my thing. Well, go to the show the next night. Everything's going good. The cops are in there. And I'm going to kind of describe the club to you because this will come into play later on. So once you get past the Marilyn Monroe, you go in, you go down these stairs, and there's the huge cabaret. There's this big T stage, with, a T, and then the runway coming out kind of more round, where the runway was really round, a lot of room to move. So I really loved it because I'm not a titty shaker that just wanders around the pole. I actually dance. I do a foot cable. I do big shows. I have props. So I'm doing my shows. Everything's good. I'm staying within the law. But again, this is me we're talking about. And, I have a tradition. So anyway, so when you get in the club, there's the stage. And kind of as you go to the left, there's a little tiny side stage, round stage with like a little pole in the middle of it. And then there's these stairs, and that goes up to the DJ booth in my dressing room. At the bottom of the stairs is the doorway into the stripper's dressing room. But then when you go through that dressing room, there's another door to this long hallway that goes up to the stage, and that's where you would enter the stage. So I would come down, and there's just like this little nook where I would just pass by, go through the dressing room, go up this hallway, which has the emergency exit in this hallway, because again, this is going to come into play. I know this is all tedious, but it's got a reason. So anyway, so this is how you would come and go. And, of course, like I said, it's me. So one of the nights I sat down, Greg and my DJ, and, I was like, well, it is tradition whenever I would do a topless bar, especially with pasties, I just wanted to put the middle finger up to the locals, every time. I don't know what it was, but I did it. So my last show of my last night, it's Saturday night at 12 p.m. I instructed the DJ and my valet to make sure to have the limo waiting in the alleyway right next to that escape door in the long stage entrance hallway from the girls' dressing room. So to have all my stuff in it, have the door open, and when I get in the car, just fucking punch it. So he's like, why? I'm like, I'm not even going to tell you guys. I didn't want Greg to get in trouble. I didn't want anybody to get in trouble. Because you can get thousands upon $10,000s of dollars worth of fines to this club for what I'm about to do. And you can even get them shut down. And I knew this, but you know what? I'm a risk taker. So why the fuck not? So what are you going to do? I said, I'm not going to tell you. But me, my finale at every topless club, I go totally nude. So, because I don't like panties and I just, I've kept them on for 3 days. So, gotta have at least 1 minute to take them off. And kick them up because I used to kick up my panties, catch them on my finger, twirl them, and toss them behind me. So I just tell them, just get it ready, do as I say. I just want to get out of this club, and we are going to go. So there had been, every night there had been some 1 or 2 undercovers, if not a few. You can tell the undercovers, they think they're being all cool and mild, but you can tell them when they walk into that club. You know who they are. So they had been in and out of the club for the 3 days, and they were itching. You could just tell they were itching to catch me doing something wrong. And I'm like, well, guess what, boys? You're about to. So I go up, I get my last set is gonna be She Loves My Cock. I've got my little fake chainsaw, I've got my lumberjack, I'm coming out, I'm doing the lumberjack. There are probably about 10 cops, and 2 of them are not even hiding their badges. They are like, we are here, we are waiting. They had heard something, but I hadn't really even told anybody. And all the girls at that club were so sweet and so nice. They were the coolest chicks. I absolutely loved them. And they were even like, they all came out to watch my last show. I'm like, you guys, it's going to be epic. You're going to fucking die when you see this. So I go out, I do my show. I get to the She Loves My Cock song. I've got my blow up poop pee-pee. Oh my God. But anyway, I've got my giant blow up pee-pee. I rip off my suspenders, take off my little, G-string cut jeans, Wrangler butt thingies. Take them off. I've got the thong back on there. And what they don't see is it's got the little hooks on the side. So I'm sitting there and I've got the big cock right in front of my growing area, in front of my hoo-ha. And I just take off the thong back and I toss it behind in those cops' faces. They cannot arrest you when you are on stage. They can only get me. They cannot go into the dressing room with the girls either. These were the laws in Oklahoma, and I knew this because I checked out the laws. I was asking, like I said, I asked the other girls. So they were waiting for me. On the second they saw those panties, you saw those 2 cops with the badges on their belts go over to where the dressing room door, by the girls' dressing room door, by the stairs up to my private dressing room was. So do you see those 2 move over there? I've got the cock in front of my hoo-ha, and the next thing I know, I pull the little blow-up hole so that the cock goes limp. I drop it and woohoo! There I am. I am running around that stage. I am doing tip moves you are not supposed to do. I've got my boobies in their faces. I've got my knee around their neck, slamming their head into my butt. I'm just going all Vegas, all the way Sienna on that shit, right? So these guys are throwing hella money, and as they're throwing money, I had told my valet, just grab all the money off that stage because this is going to be huge. And there was about $2,000 off that stage. So he's just grabbing it as you go, putting it in this bag, in my stripper bag that he's just got behind that hall. He's just grabbing it. I've got everything coordinated. Those cops are freaking out. You see about 5 other undercovers stand up. Sorry. And they are waiting for me by that door, but what they did not know, I went off that stage. They did the big announcements. They were like, oh, everybody, the management was freaking out. Fancy was like, oh my God, she was loving it, but she was like, oh my God, at the same time. I went out that back door, jumped in that limo, head dove. He had my clothes waiting for me, my blow-up dick. He went around the front, and there was a couple cop cars out there that saw me. One of them caught me as we were pulling out. And if you get 3 blocks down from this club to this certain stop sign, I'm out of their jurisdiction. And guess what? I made it past that stop sign. I stood up with no top on and waved as I went past that stop sign. Then I went back to the hotel, had Ben and Jerry's, and masturbated. It was fun. So yeah, that's one of my stripper stories. And now I'm banned from Oklahoma because of it. At least last I knew. I never went back there. And when I got back to Vegas, Jack came in the dressing room with his arms crossed and looked at me and goes, huh. Oh no, let me put it to you how he always said it to me. Wait, no, I said it to him first. He said, And Jack is, he's a former U.S. Olympic wrestler, a couple times on that team. So But I could outrun him. I was okay. He laughed his ass off because he knew I was going to do something like that. It's just like you knew. So don't send me to the club where your brother's going to bitch you out because you know I'm going to do something like that. Come on, Jack. Chizzy crazy. But so there you go. There's a fun little stripper story. And I hope you guys loved the podcast episode. Sorry, it's another blackout episode. I've just been really crazy busy trying to keep up with things. And sometimes this is the quickest way I can do it. And I hope you guys really enjoy the story. And I will be having more people on here soon. I'm trying to coordinate a lot of stuff. Kristen's coming back. Marie's coming back. I want to get Daviny on. We've got Diana Williams. And just so you guys, if you can go find her on Facebook, Diana Williams, or Instagram, find her. She's in and out of the hospital, so she could use a lot of help. Go to her link. Help her out with whatever you can. Doesn't have to be money, just whatever she needs. You know, she's, like I said, paralyzed. She's doing everything on her own. But you know what? Us rock chicks gotta stick together. So, alright guys. Hope you enjoyed today's little silly episode. Some of my stripper antics. Because you know me, like I said. It's never going to be boring. And the pasties, yeah, I ripped the pasties off too. Because I'll get those things off my nippies. No, I have pretty nippies. I do not want to cover them. So, alright, you guys. Hope you enjoyed today's story. Thank you to everybody who's made it to the end of the episode. You guys fucking rock. And don't forget, with Patreon, you guys, start bringing your memberships over to YouTube. I am going to delete my Patreon over the next couple of months. Because it's just easier for me to keep everything in one place. And to be able to do more for you guys over here than I can do with it in 2 different places. So, alright, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Everybody who's just lurking, who's haunting, get down in the comments. Introduce yourself. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you want to hear. And while you're on the way down there, fiddle about. Tickle me a little bit. Use your finger. And press the subscribe. Press the like. Press the share. And hit my bells. We'll see you next time on Cocktails and Rocktails. Cheers, big ears.